Presenting a continued fascination for the fusion of different body styles, the Mercedes-Benz GLC Coupe combines the high-rise purposefulness of an SUV with an aggressively sloping roofline that visually smacks of rear seat space compromise. Thankfully, there's almost as much room in the back of the coupe as there is in the regular, more perpendicular Mercedes-Benz GLC SUV. There are few direct rivals for the Mercedes to battle against. Its primary opponent is the BMW X4, itself a coupe version of the X3, while the Range Rover Evoque coupe is compromised by its three-door layout, making the five-door closer in spirit to this GLC. Plus, there's the Lexus NX, although like the Evoque, its styling blurs the boundaries between traditional SUV and this new style of coupe. Sporty, family-friendly coupe buyers with children or grandkids tend to shun regular 2- and 3-door coupes due to their inherent lack of practicality. Alternatives such as the Mercedes-Benz Class Coupe remain personal cars, the rear seats of which will barely be used. Crossovers and SUVs continue to grow in popularity, but as with more conventional cars, not everyone wants to drive something with a boxy estate silhouette, hence these rakish coupes which are set to become a growth area for a number of manufacturers. Of course, in reality, it's less of a coupe and more of a hatchback. Because it's focused on families being the primary purchasers of SUVs, the GLC Coupe remains a largely sensible proposition, with 5 doors and just about enough rear headroom for a 6-foot-tall adult. Raise the large electric tailgate for greater evidence of how the couping process has limited the GLC's practicality. On paper, it only loses out to the tune of 50 liters of boot space to its SUV sibling. But the coupe's loading lip and boot floor are very high in comparison. The floor lifts to reveal a deep well, almost as large as the carpeted area above, and is lockable for greater security. Diesel efficiency dominates the engine range most Britons buy diesel engine Mercedes cars, and the GLC Coupe reflects this, with only one petrol-powered derivative, the punchier Mercedes-AMG GLC-43, set to be sold in the UK. Initially the range will consist of 2 derivatives, both with the aging 2.1-liter diesel installed. The GLC 220D packs 170 horsepower while the GLC 250D has 204 horsepower available. Both are equipped with a 9-speed automatic transmission and direct power to all 4 wheels via Mercedes' 4MATIC system. In spite of the power differences, both have a claimed fuel consumption of 56.5 miles per gallon, with CO2 emissions as low as 131 GkM, just 2 GkM higher than the GLC SUV. Joining the AMG GLC-43 later in 2016 is a higher-powered 3.0-liter V6 diesel GLC 350D producing 258 horsepower. We've driven this version too and found it didn't deliver significantly more real-world performance than the 250D but felt more refined. There will also be a plug-in hybrid GLC 350A joining the range during 2018, but this will mechanically differ from the version already sold in various left-hand drive markets. Familiar high-quality interior. If you've spent time inside any of the Class family lately, the Mercedes GLC Coupe's cabin won't feel remotely disorienting. That's no bad thing, as the dashboard is one of the most stylish, and well-built, in the SUV segment, with a variety of color and applique options depending upon the trim level chosen. 2 levels of specification are available from Launch, Sport and AMG line, the latter expected to make up more than half of sales despite being more expensive. While both trims are well appointed, in traditional Mercedes style there's a raft of optional equipment to tailor the GLC Coupe to your tastes. We would recommend the air suspension system being top of your list of extra cost kit. Read the full Mercedes-Benz GLC Coupe review to find out how good this latest take on the SUV really is. 2 economical diesels available from Launch: AMG petrol and higher power diesel, later plug-in hybrid promised from 2018 from Launch. A pair of diesel engines serves up the performance for the Mercedes-Benz GLC Coupe, but other power plants are in the offing. Initial duo of diesels will be popular. Opt for either the GLC 220D or the quicker GLC 250D, the only choices available from Launch. and you'll find both models are powered by the same 2.1-liter diesel motor. Both units are identical to the ones found in the GLC SUV. Regardless of the engine choice, all GLC coupes are fitted with a 9-speed automatic gearbox, with the familiar steering column lever, and 4MATIC 4-wheel drive. Producing 170 horsepower and 400 Nm of torque from 1,400 revolutions per minute, there's no denying the GLC 220D's aging engine is on the gruff side, but there's sufficient sound-deadening material to isolate the cabin from much of the din. Top speed is 130 miles per hour, while it will reach 62 miles per hour from a standstill in just 8.3 seconds. Offering more urgency thanks to its 204 horsepower output and 500 Nm of torque, again from 1,600 revolutions per minute. The GLC 250D is able to reach 138 miles per hour and crack the 0.62 miles per hour acceleration standard in 7.6 seconds. Despite the differences in power, Mercedes claims the engines are equally efficient, posting official figures of 56.5 miles per gallon and 131 GkM of CO2 when equipped with 18-inch wheels. Future engines for the GLC Coupe by the end of 2016. Expect the range to be fleshed out further with a more powerful 3.0-liter V6 diesel, badged GLC 350D, and a roadier performance model, and the only petrol-fueled version, the Mercedes-AMG GLC 43. We've driven the GLC 350D with its power plant mustering 258 horsepower and an impressive 620 Nm of torque from just 1,600 revolutions per minute. There's no doubting it's more refined than a smaller, 4-cylinder diesel, being both quieter and even more linear in its power delivery, but despite a 147 miles per hour top speed and a 0.62 miles per hour time of 6.2 seconds, it doesn't feel significantly quicker on broads than the GLC 250D. Like its less powerful stablemates, it also comes with the 9-tronic automatic gearbox and 4MATIC 4-wheel drive as standard. Additionally, by 2018 there'll be a plug-in hybrid version available too, the GLC 350E. There's already a model wearing that badge on sale in continental markets, but it will have had a mechanical overhaul by the time it reaches the UK. Sportier to drive than the regular GLC air body control suspension, a worthwhile option not especially capable off-road, make no mistake. While the Mercedes-Benz GLC Coupe is a sportier proposition than its SUV stablemate, a sports car it isn't. Sportier to drive as standard, the GLC Coupe comes with a lowered sports suspension arrangement regardless of trim level, while on its SUV sibling, this comes as standard only in AMG line guise. We've only driven the coupe on its optional air springs detailed below, but previously sampled the standard sports setup in the SUV, and found it a little firm and unforgiving on the UK's pockmarked roads. However, it is undeniably capable of containing body roll when cornering briskly, and it rides adequately well on longer motorway slogs. Optional air body control suspension, as the name implies. The air body control air-sprung suspension system replaces conventional metal coils with flexible pods compressing the gas within. Not only that, but it's adaptable, too. Many cars come with adaptive suspension settings these days, and on several it's difficult to feel any perceptible change. Not so with Mercedes' system. Accessible through the Dynamic Select controller, which also varies other parameters such as throttle and transmission response as well as steering weighting, the firmness of the suspension can be varied from comfort at the softer end of the scale, through Sport and Sport Plus at its firmest. Comfort is sublime at soaking up all manner of ruts and bumps, isolating driver and passengers from the road, and allowing the GLC to float and roll a little more through bends. One word of caution from experiences of other Mercedes models fitted with such systems, that floatiness can make those prone to travel sickness feel on the woozy side when left in comfort. Flick it into sport and it remains comfortable, but you're significantly more aware of the road's imperfections, albeit with their sharpness dulled by the suspension. It feels tauter and much more at home threading its way around winding ribbons of asphalt. If you only specify one extra cost option for the GLC Coupe, ensure it is air body control. Limited off-roading capabilities. Despite its elevated ride height and standard four-wheel drive, the GLC Coupe is not a bona fide off-roader. Best to think of it as something that will cope with forest tracks and green lanes more than a car in which to scale majestically rocky landscapes. Four-wheel drive does come to the fore on-road, though, the extra security of the additional traction allowing the GLC Coupe to corner quickly without feeling as though you're on the edge of adhesion. Familiar class-based dashboard, high-quality materials in the most part commanding driving position. The Mercedes-Benz GLC Coupe is now the sixth body style to receive the Class dashboard that first debuted in the saloon back in 2014. As such, it remains good to look at, is well built and is constructed from largely high-quality materials. That cheap-filling cup holder remains under the flap at the base of the center console, though. Everything feels clear and logical in look and layout, although the multimedia controller with touchpad is fiddly in your initial operations. It soon becomes easy to navigate without looking down at what your hand's up to. Just a pity the tablet-like screen doesn't glide away out of view when it's not required. Trims and colors are largely tasteful, although there's something a little bit 1980s hi-fi about the silver switchgear, and everything's laid out in a sensible, ergonomic fashion. Dashboard appliques vary with trim level and are a mixed bag in terms of effectiveness. The open-pore wood finish looked stylishly contemporary but is marred by a cheap-looking brown plastic edging strip. It's like lacing up an expensive pair of Paul Smith shoes with some garden twine you've found in the shed. The instrumentation itself is an object of clarity and can be complemented at extra cost with the superb head-up display HUD projected onto the windscreen. Spacious cabin. Despite sloping roof, adaptive suspension boosts ride comfort. Quiet interior, despite engine gruffness, proof, if ever it was needed, is provided by the Mercedes-Benz GLC Coupe. That sportiness and comfort can be happy bedfellows, albeit with the caveat that it's even better with the optional air body control suspension. Few cars manage to quell road imperfections being transmitted to the car's occupants as well as the GLC with the system switched to comfort, although it can prove to be too soft for the tastes and stomachs of some passengers. Even in sport mode, Sport Plus is the firmest, it remains satisfyingly compliant. Despite the roofline suggesting otherwise, it's a decently spacious cabin, with ample room in all directions for 4 passengers. 5 is manageable but inevitably more of a squeeze in the back. Rear seat occupants who are around 6 feet tall may well feel their hair rubbing against the headlining, but for the majority it's fine back there. Opt for the premium package, which includes an opening glass roof, and the somber cabin has light flooding in, although there's a significant degree of wind noise with it open. Other than that, the interior's quiet with little exterior or engine noise permeating through to disturb the hush. Dual-zone climate control comes as standard, and it works very effectively, while the front seats are heated. Ventilated, air-conditioned seats are also available at extra cost. Sport and AMG line trims for mainstream range. Mercedes-AMG version to come later in 2016. Wide array of options to personalize your GLC from its summer 2016 debut. The GLC Coupe lineup came in both Sport and AMG line trims, with the higher performance Mercedes-AMG GLC-43 Coupe arriving later in 2016. Standard Mercedes-Benz GLC Coupe equipment. Starting point for the GLC Coupe range is Sport, bristling with equipment to satisfy the needs of many. In addition to the aforementioned sports suspension, buyers will also benefit from a self-parking function, a reversing camera, keyless start but not entry, an electric tailgate with foot operation, LED headlamps and 18-inch alloy wheels. Inside you will also find sunroof, heated front seats, Artico Fox leather upholstery and black ashwood trim appliques. Mercedes expects most British buyers to upgrade to AMG line, which brings a full AMG body kit complete with 19-inch alloy wheels and a chrome-finished grille to the GLC's party, along with a flat-bottomed steering wheel, brushed steel pedals with rubber grip studs and a black roof lining. Optional Mercedes-Benz GLC Coupe accessories. Depending on the chosen trim level, a variety of additional features can be specified at extra cost. The premium pack upgrades the standard equipment roster with ambient interior lighting, a sliding glass sunroof and keyless entry. Additionally, there's a Premium Plus pack, consisting of a Burmester surround sound 13-speaker system and the Command multimedia upgrade with 8-inch display screen, which has a positive uplift on residual values. Safety can be further bolstered with the Driving Assistance pack, which includes blind spot warning, lane keeping assist where the car steers itself between road lines, and adaptive cruise control. AMG line models can also be upgraded with the Night package with various aspects of the exterior trim finished in gloss black, but the option we would most recommend is the Air Body Control suspension system. Likely to provide best-in-class safety record. Standard safety kit impresses. Even more optional LED headlamps are part of the standard kit. It's unlikely the Mercedes-Benz GLC Coupe will be safety tested by the experts at Euro NCAP as a separate model, but the regular SUV version of the car received the full 5 stars and a best-in-class title when it was examined. Standard safety equipment is impressive, but this can be bolstered further with the optional Driving Assistance pack as well as the excellent head-up display unit. For more details about the coupe's safety, read the Mercedes-Benz GLC SUV review. Boot is decently sized and seatbacks fold flat. Access to it is restricted due to high lip luggage cover seems unnecessarily fiddly. View the Mercedes-Benz GLC Coupe alongside its SUV sibling with a more traditional, estate-esque rear end, and you'll immediately appreciate that this is less practical. The coupe's slower by 42 mm than the SUV, slightly compromising rear seat headroom, but is also longer to the tune of 76 mm, benefiting boot space. Perhaps remarkably, with the rear seats in place, the coupe's 500-liter boot is only 50 liters shy of the SUV's figure. Fold them over and the difference is more stark, with the coupe offering up 1,400 liters to the SUV's 1,600-liter volume. Statistics only tell part of the story, though. Open the coupe's large tailgate. Thankfully that's electrically assisted, and 2 things immediately strike you: 1, that the boot lip is very high, and 2, the high boot floor makes it appear very shallow, not great if you need to carry taller items. The secret is that the floor is false, with the volume of space beneath it effectively doubling its depth, but it would prove awkward lifting heavy cargo back out of that well. Usefully, the false floor is lockable, and when it's in place and the seatbacks are folded over, the boot floor is long and flat. We were less impressed by the recoiling luggage cover. It doesn't rise up in unison with the tailgate, instead you have to and rehook it from toggles near the boot opening. With no track for the runners to feed along, it's somewhat fiddly. Mercedes claims the aerodynamics of the tailgate mean there's no need for a rear wiper, either. So far we've only tested the GLC Coupe in dry conditions, but it's something that will prove to be true or otherwise in Britain's inclement conditions.